So this most recent episode of Andor, episode 10, whew, just I think apart from the heist episode, this has been the best episode of the series to date. It feels like just every time I turn around, they are kicking it up another notch and just adding more ingredients into the mix and just enhancing that recipe and enhancing that flavor and just giving us more, 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 more. It's so good. Before we dive in, though, as always, spoiler alert. I am not holding back. We're going to be talking about the whole episode in full. So, you have been warned. Walk away now if you don't want things spoiled. I'm Tim Anderson, aka Renfill, sometimes known as the Bearded Dwarven Princess. If this is your first time here, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so that you get more of this and all the other shows that I review, like the upcoming Willow show, the other Star Wars flavors of the month, like Tales of the Jedi and Mandalorian and so on and so forth, and things like Rings of Power, House of the Dragon, so on and so forth. From here, again, spoiler alert, don't forget to turn away if you don't want things spoiled. All right, let's dive in because this was a killer episode. So the floor right now on the factory is just super tense. They're walking the old man's body through who died in the previous episode, um, and they're alone in the hallway for a few moments, and Cassian is doing this like last ditch effort to convince the floor manager Kino that they have to go tomorrow. Um, they don't have the guards. They're afraid. They just killed 100 men to keep their mistake from getting out. There aren't enough guards to stop an uprising. Um, and he's like, there's 5,000 men that are about to find out that they aren't getting out alive. How do you think that's going to be going upstairs in terms of the management? There will never be fewer guards than tomorrow because after tomorrow they're going to bring a new man down and then that's it. And Kino's got questions. Is like, where do we go? And he's like, I don't call that um, being afraid. I call that power. And Cassian's like, power doesn't panic. The writing and the acting in this scene was just freaking amazing. Um, Cassian yelling at him, "I'd rather die trying to escape than die giving them what they want." And Kino's face, man, he knows it's true. The logic is sound. They get through the rest of the shift. They get back to their chambers, and Cassian is like egging Kino on to like tell the floor what's happened, and he doesn't want to say it. He's terrified. He's spent his, whole adult life here trying to get out, and thought one thing was true and found out it wasn't. And it's a hard thing to find out your reality is not what you thought it was. And Cassian starts to tell everybody what's going on, and finally Kino, he has the switch. You see it in his face. He's like, "No one's getting out. It's true. The rumors are true. They're not letting us go. Never. So get some sleep because tomorrow it's on." Um, there's a little. There's not very much of the IBS this episode. They have their bait. They caught Krieger's pilot. Um, they're gonna do what they're gonna do with that. And just I was wondering why they were even showing this because it was a small little scene and that was kind of it with the ISB this episode. It does play in later, which we'll get to here in a minute. Then we're back on Ferrex, excuse me. Andor's mom is sick. We find Sinja watching, and at the same time, don't forget the ISB has men watching Andor's mom. So there's multiple people watching Andor's mom. I'm sure that that's going to come into play later on. It didn't in this episode, so I'm curious where that's going to go over the next couple of episodes. Oh, excuse me. No sleep last night because of the cat surgeries. I've been basically an all-nighter, so I apologize for the yawns. The next scene in this episode, this has been like the highlight of the Mon Mothma scenes for me. I mean, she is doing a brilliant job regardless, but this scene in particular, I felt like it kicked it up a notch because she's meeting with this guy. I don't remember his name. I didn't write it down. But he's like the underlord, wealthy guy who's gonna maybe be her unofficial bank. And he doesn't care, what she needs the money for. She's like, it's for a charitable organization. He's like, uh-huh. And then she finds out he doesn't want a fee. He's like, it's a charitable organization, huh? And she's like, I prefer to pay you for your time. He goes, no, I don't want any money. She's like, well, I don't want to owe you any favors. I just want to pay you. And he literally this line is brilliant. He goes, a drop of discomfort may be the price of doing business. And then he takes a sip of his drink, and I was like, oh, that is so smooth. And she's, pissed. What do you want? He's like, I just want to get reinvited, along with my 14-year-old son, to get introduced to your daughter, who's 13, as is the tradition in the old ways of our people. And Mon Mothma is livid and pissed. She's like, no. And as he's going, he's like, well, just let me know. And she's like, I'm not even thinking about it. And he turns around and he goes, that's the first untrue thing you've said. Hmm. And then he walks out, and I was like, oh shit. And Mon Mothma is seething. Like, she is livid. Um, and yeah, man. It's going down. She's desperate. Like, she has no other options here. Um, Back to Luthen's shop with his assistant, and someone's asking for a face-to-face meeting. Someone they haven't seen in about a year. Um, Excuse me. And Luthen's like, I'm surprised this guy's waited this long. I'm like, who is it? Gonna get to that in a minute because it was very important, and I was like, oh snap. Um, we're back to Cassian in the pit. So this whole sequence here is what made this episode the best episode of the season for me, because this is the breakout episode. And the way they filmed it and the pacing is like you never know from one moment to the next if it's actually going to succeed. And so you're constantly, you're just like biting your nails. And this was one of the most brilliant scenes I've seen in the season so far. You know, First he breaks the water pipe in the bathroom, which starts a flood. Um, they're coming down, new guy on the floor. Um, they start attacking. Guys are getting shot with blaster fire from the two guards up. There's water on the floor. The techs are like, spark the floor, spark the floor. Kino's like, get on the tables, get on the tables. Most of them make it up on the tables, a couple don't. When they go to fry the floor, it like shorts the whole system out. And now Kino's face. Attack! Cassian's up, he's got a blaster, shoots the other guard, and then just from here, it's just this cascading, you know, escape of these guys running up the floors, shooting guards, getting shot, casualties along the way, floor to floor, releasing the other prisoners, um, getting blasters to one more people on the way up the stairs. And we get this sequence where they're finally at the tech room where the tech's like, all right, in 40 seconds, we're going to fry the whole level. And here's Kino and Cassian, and they get the tech guys to shut down the whole hydro system, which is going to take, I think he said weeks to reboot. So they've essentially shut down this whole facility for foreseeable future. Kino's on the comm system, and Cassie's egging him on, like you've got to be the one to speak to these people because you're the floor manager. Tell them what to do. And he's it's very this speech that he gives is one of the reasons why Andy Serkis is such a great actor, because this is him starting off being very timid about what he's saying, and then he's getting fired up as he goes along, and you know, they don't have enough guards. We'll never have a better chance at this. I would rather die trying. Go now. They're making up our sentences. They fried 100 men. We know they're lying, transferring us to other prisons. That ends today. There's only one way out. Um, if you see someone confused or lost, you get them moving. There's 5,000 of us. We can fight if we can fight as half as hard as we were working, we will get home. There's only one way out. And they do. They get all the way up, they get out, and then Kino's like, I can't swim. And I don't know what happens to Kino because we don't see him getting into the water, but everyone else is like jumping off into the ocean and swimming. Then we flash forward, not flash forward, but we switch over to the planet, or a planet, which is Coruscant, I'm assuming. And Pythagoras, sorry, Lonnie. I always call it Pythagoras because that's what I know him from. It's from the Hercules show. But this guy, this tall, skinny guy from the ISB, this is Luthen's man on the inside. And I was like, oh snap! Like I never even suspected, which is great. This is a plot twist. Like this is how you do it, Rings of Power. You do it like this. Um, so we find out that he's reporting to Luthen that Daedra's onto him. and Luthen knows who Daedra is. He's like, she's searching for a thief and the middleman, and Luthen's like, that's good. Encourage this. She's wasting time with all Danny Angle. We were invited, but it wasn't us. But he's telling him now about the rebel pilot that they just caught going to Krieger, and how the ISB knows there's going to be a raid on the power plant of Spellhouse. And if Krieger attacks, they're going to be waiting. They're gonna wipe him out. You got to warn him. And Luthen says, if we do anything, they'll know that something's up. We can't risk that. It's only 50 men. You are worth more than them. Okay, Luthen is one cold son of a bitch. Um, he's like, why are we really here today, Lonnie? And then they meet face to face, and Lonnie's like, I can't do this anymore. I'm a father. I've got a daughter. I had no idea it would feel like this. Luthen's like, we took a vow. And he's like, I am fulfilling my vow. After 6 years, I've given you all of this. And Luther's like, you think a goodie basket is enough? We can't let you go. And he rebuts and says, I've sacrificed all these things. What have you sacrificed? And this is why they got Stellan to play this part, because this is prestige acting here. And he gives this speech. What have I sacrificed? I've sacrificed calm. I've sacrificed kindness, kinship, love. I've made my mind a sunless place, and I share my dream with ghosts. I'm damned for what I do. I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. What have I sacrificed? I have sacrificed everything. Just brilliant writing and acting, everything. And the closing shot is Cassian running down a beach with this other guy, Melshi, with three moons in the sky and fade to black. So at the very least, they're free of the facility. I don't know who else is with them. Is anybody else going to meet them? But it's these two guys at the moment. And if I remember correctly, this is the other Melshi, I believe, is from Rogue One. Yes, he was a sergeant in the Alliance. Um, Going to Scarif. So he's obviously got out here with Andor, and they're now going to be going together through season 2. So this is leading up to Rogue One. This is continuity, everybody. This is how you do a prequel, by the way. Rings of Power. This is how you do it. You taking notes, because this is how you do it. Love it. Let me know your thoughts and comments below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Hopefully you've been enjoying this series. We got more to come, other things, other reviews. If you like this enough, I've hopefully earned your attention enough and hopefully your trust enough to consider supporting the cause, because I get the lights paid and the bills paid and the internet stays on. I get to do this full time because of people like you. It's really simple. You can do a super chat on this video. You can do memberships. There's 3 different tiers of the Adventurers Guild down there. If you're on a live stream or a premiere, you can do super chats. There's also the Patreon page if you want to find out what I'm building with my wife and my brother as far as our fantasy world of the Weave and the Void goes. But until then, until next time, figure out a way you can contribute. Hopefully you can. I'll see everybody in the next episode. May the Force be with you.